All right, Pete. So bye week. It's going to be a fun time for us. You got one game in 20 days. Which means we got a lot of content to get to. We're still going to be dropping probably more content than we did before. We're really trying to get a handle on what this team is going forward. Recruiting is going to be insane. The recruiting effort from Miami, I already talked to people, is going to be crazy. We'll be giving you the latest recruiting info here. I know you got the work, which is going to be dropping afterwards.
No, I dropped it. I dropped it last night, actually. So,
but you're on the show. I mean,
yeah.
On the Discord, you dropped it last night. Yeah. You'll talk about it here, but I want to talk about the bye week and what it means beyond just the recruiting, what it means for this team. By the way, shout out to Rock and Rant. Met him at Duffy's Tavern. Appreciate you. He has not recovered from his addiction to Gator Tears. But you know what? I'll throw that out here right now while we're getting to the bye. So if you're trying to kill time during the bye week, there's a lot going on. So you definitely want to have some downtime and relish in what happened in these first 4 games. I think the best way to do it is probably the Gator Tears thread. Look at this thread, man. As I find it here. 11 million views of this Gator Tears thread, 86,000 posts just in this thread alone. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's just Gator Tears, just GIFs and tweets and posts, either dumping on the Gators or just showcasing Gator fans crying and suffering. There's Dan Thompson. Miami's not the number 4 team in the country. They lied to you extensively this week. Yeah, probably number 1 team in the country. And your program is dead. In fact, I'll respond to that tweet later just to kind of rub some salt in this guy's wound if he hasn't blocked me already. Don't know who he is, but I see his face a lot. Seems to be pretty annoying. Anyways, so bye week. And you touched on this, Peter, so I want to get to this. And there's a lot of questions in the chat. JoJo Trader. I think we got to get him healthy. I do think he provides that deep threat. He's not a sprinter like a Keelan Marion, but his change of direction, his fluidity, he gets open deep and he can give you that ability. And he can make guys miss. I think this offense needs a jolt of explosiveness. I don't think it's like totally needed. Like, I mean, you had the number 1 offense in the country last year without a ton of explosive playmakers at skill. You had good players, but not explosive playmakers necessarily. But I think we could use some. That's the thing that could take our offense to another level. And that's about in-house guys. JoJo Trader, first and foremost on that list, has a week to get healthy. Mario mentioned this morning on the Joe Rose show that he has to kind of really get it going now in practice. He's healed up. Now it's about getting it done in practice. We'll see that.
Got to make that move. Got to make that move, man. Got to work himself into these. We got to earn those reps.
And that's going to be the opportunity in front of him here. Keelan Marion, I think, will have his big play moment, which you've been just waiting to get. But that's one. Jordan Lyle, right? He took the first snaps against Notre Dame. So that shows you how valuable he is, what he was doing in practice. Big back with tremendous speed, more speed than the other backs on the team, aside from maybe Pringle. Fletcher, we know, is one of the best backs in the country. Marty Brown's been a star. Add Jordan Lyle to that mix, and now you really have a elite running game in this country. Because I think we're already one of the top running teams in the country. Add Jordan Lyle, and if he could be effective, you're talking about one of the best in the country offensively.
Deep Water says this offense hasn't been opened up proper yet. We will be fine. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of truth to it. I think I used to believe that sentiment a little bit more, like, hey, they haven't shown everything. I think more in this case that the offense is the offense in terms of what you're going to see. I think, like you said, D, you get more playmakers involved. The outcome could be a little bit different, but this is going to be a team that controls the ball and is efficient in the passing game. You hope at their best that, like we saw against USF, like we saw, obviously Bethune was Bethune, but like we saw against Notre Dame, at times the numbers weren't prolific, but it was efficient. So I think it comes down to more like for the offense to fully reach what it could be in terms of these big plays, you need JoJo to step up. You need, Lyle to get in there and start ripping off 10, 15, 20-yard runs, because I think that's what he's capable of in this offense. And that's what I think it comes down to more than schematically there's going to be changes. I don't think we're going to see a much different scheme here from this offense, D.
No, I agree with you. I think it's execution, and I think it's some of the players getting healthy. We talked about Trader. We talked about Lyle. I would add Lofton to that category too. You wouldn't think of Lofton as an explosive playmaker because he's not like a 4-4 runner, but Lofton can make some really, really big plays. You saw it a couple times last year. UF, he had a big one, had a couple plays against the lesser teams, had a fake field goal against Iowa State that he took for like 30-something yards. He can make big plays also. Different kind of way to make big plays, but you get him in space, he breaks one tackle, and that's 25, 30 yards. So I think those three, who, by the way, were our three best players in spring, period, at least offensively. Lyle, Trader, and Lofton. Those were our three best players in spring, obviously banged up in camp. Lyle was more towards that Notre Dame game. He was very dynamic in August camp as well. Got to get those guys healthy. That to me is a number one aspect of the bye that I'm watching, because they bring just a different element. You're still gonna have Fletcher doing what he does. You're still gonna have Marty Brown. You're still gonna have Malachi Tony, Daniels, Marion. All these guys are still gonna play a lot, but those guys getting healthier and Lofton getting healthier, I think it's going to add different angles to this offense, and guys that if you break a tackle, it can really, really hurt you.
HJS asking about JoJo. We talked about it now, but in terms of the question you're asking about if he's not playing because he's not doing what he needs to do to get on the field, or is he hurt? We talked about that at length in the beginning, but it's a little bit of both, man. I just don't. I think he needs to earn his reps back because even before the injury was slipping a bit in that department. But hey, he's got a real big opportunity here, and I would be pretty surprised if they don't scheme something for him early in that FSU game. D, kind of how you saw against Notre Dame, quite frankly. But he's got to earn it.
Yep. I agree. That's part of this. It's not just like, hey, you're clear. You got to clear, and you got to show that you're ready to play in these big games, because the other receivers want to play too. Tony Johnson wants to play more. Keelan Marion doesn't want to give up snaps.
Tony Johnson and Keelan Marion haven't done anything to say, hey, we should be giving reps to JoJo over. Like, they haven't lost those reps necessarily.
Yeah. So bye week, aside from just, and maybe this is part of it, the recruiting aspect of it, what are you watching in the bye week that you're like, man, this is an area where this team can really, really improve before we play FSU?
The tight end stuff, man. I think Luka Gilbert, getting him more involved, getting Lofton as healthy as he can be there, and yeah, you wanna say Bauman hasn't been very good and it's been a rough go, but like you talk about, for this team to get better, he's gonna need to be better because he's still gonna play. It's not like they're gonna bench him and he's done just because he hasn't gotten off to a hot start here. Like, you need him to pick it up. He can't be an unreliable player in terms of the blocking game, at the very least, in terms of the you throw him the football and he doesn't know what his assignment is. He's not aware to the situation, right? He's out there blocking for essentially nobody. So that sort of stuff needs to be cleaned up to me. And then how do you get these young guys more involved you see the Bryce Fitzgerald when he comes on third downs. I think he's solidified himself as a guy who's going to be playing a lot as the season goes on. How do you continue to get a Josh Moore involved and get him continuing to move in the right direction here, because you see the flash from him, but he has the ability to be a number one type receiver. I'm not saying it's going to be this year, but you want to see him continue to make strides towards that happening, D. So for me, it's really kind of laser focused on the young guys and some of these guys who haven't had the best start to the season in terms of consistency. How about a Matthew McCoy?
Yeah.
Right. He's another one that I would put on that radar. Brockermeyer, we mentioned it, getting him right mentally. He's been really good. When I say getting him right mentally, I really just mean the pre-snap stuff, right? And the snaps themselves. But they're happy with how he's approached the day-to-day there. And yeah, I would just say really the young guys.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. One young guy, Peony Boys is talking about, is the 17-year-old who's now 18. He just had his birthday this week, Malachi Tony, who you saw that TikTok video. I think it was the
305 Sports.
Yeah, it was 305 Sports. Shout out to the brothers, man. Euro guys. Those guys kill it. But yeah, man, he was bearing Sharif Denson, bearing these receivers. Probably could have gotten a couple penalties on him. Could have gotten penalties against him as far as some of the after the snap. I'm glad at least they didn't call it for either team. But yeah, he was bearing these guys. The culture in the wide receiver room is excellent. I think the opposite culture is there at UF. Their corners don't want to tackle. Their wide receivers can't block. That's one thing I noticed is, I would have thought you would have seen more a horizontal passing game where Lagway's throwing out to those receivers and trying to get some easy completions, right? Maybe set up the vertical by going horizontal. But I don't think those receivers could block. So that's why they didn't do that, because Malachi Tony can block, CJ Daniels can block, but their receivers can't. they don't have the fortitude, or at least they haven't been coached to have it. So if they would have done that, I think our corners would have eaten them alive, which is why you didn't see them do those passes, which would have been theoretically an easy way to get Lagway going. But you didn't see that. Austin saying Tony's like an Antonio Brown who blocks. That's the one Hall of Famer comparison that I've made that I actually think he can kind of be like that guy. It was with Antonio Brown. His dad's Antonio Brown, different Antonio Brown, Della Brown, who's another really good player, but he does remind me of Antonio Brown from the Steelers, just the way that he plays. HJS, I ran into Calvin Russell on Saturday. Physically, he's a must-get receiver. He could easily be 6'6" by the time he goes to college. Yeah, he's tall. Also heard he's a hard worker.
Austin Thomas says, can JoJo block like Mallet? We saw him doing it against Notre Dame. Listen, you can't question his toughness when he's on the field. He's got to stay healthy. You know, that getting nicked up, but he's not a soft player, man. We can't like misjudge that aspect of it. He's a South Florida dog, man.
Derek Huck says, and Nez was saying Cormani was trying to hurt him. A lot of bickering between them during the game. I don't know if you saw the video and Nez Cooper did after the game, basically laughing at Cormani and the Gators. And Nez Cooper, like me, relishes in kicking people when they're down. He puts them down, so he deserves to relish it even more. But yeah, he was. What did he say to Cormani?
He said, "Don't let the Coral Gables stuff fool you, man." Listen, that's what I always used to say. Don't let the Glenvar Heights stuff fool you.
But yeah, man. Loving S. Cooper. I think we're going to miss his mental even more than his physical when he's gone, because he really is a leader of this team, and he hates the Gators like we do, and he's got bragging rights over them for life because he basically humiliated them both times. I know we're talking about the bye week here, Pete, but I got to give a shout out to Markel Bell. I did not even see Tyreek Sapp's jersey number in this game. I mean, he was completely – it was like a child. It was like me blocking a 6-year-old. That's what it felt like. It was child's play.
This is what I love about O-line, like really evaluating offensive linemen and talking about them, though, D, because game one had a couple, not great moments against Notre Dame, one or two that reps that he'd like to have back. And everyone's saying, man, this guy isn't what we thought he was going to be. We heard so much about his improvement in the offseason, this and that. And now we haven't heard his name called since game one, right? And that just shows, like we said, like people forget because he's so big, he just sometimes completely takes guys out of the game. Like he just engulfs them the entire game, and that's pretty much what he did with Sapp there. So
engulfs them is the best word to use, and also in the run game. I mean, Pete, how many times did Marquez push the pile
driving
10 yards?
Yeah.
There's a viral video of some fan just watching.
I saw it.
Just watching Markel Bell. I don't know what he even really didn't say anything. He was just kind of like marveling at how big he was. That was a pretty funny video.
My girlfriend always says he looks like Shaq out there.
Yeah, that's a good comp, man. And he's big and he's in good shape, man. He's not. We've seen him around campus. You've had the Bellburger with him. He's not a fat guy.
I've always said with him, it's not even just that. It's that it's not that he's not fat, D. It's that he's not for being that tall. His lower half is not skinny. Like he's built proportionally for that size. Where a lot of tall guys, like I've dealt with a lot of taller offensive linemen, that we talk about the bend, not being able to just bend, but they don't have the power in the lower half because they're so tall and they're more top heavy. His torso is built a certain type of way.
Over 1,600 on the stream. Like and subscribe to the show. Pete, thoughts on this boot here? 52-yard field goal in a wet field.
I think we got to give him a little more credit. I think it's a 53-yarder. So
that's it.
So let's make sure that we get that yardage right. We don't want to take anything away from Carter Davis, but yeah, man. Again, like the post game stuff is it's sometimes people think I'm being satirical, but this is what it is. It sounds a wee bit different.
It does. The kickoffs sound different. The kicks themselves sound different. I wish we got to find out his eligibility. I think he's done with the years. I would have loved to have this guy for some more years, man. That was a hell of a find by the recruiting department. When we got, and I was talking to people in the building on Sunday about this, when we got this guy, people were like, almost afraid to put the bat signal out. Not they weren't. I mean, they were going to put the bat signal out anyways, but like they knew that when they put the bat signal out, people were going to be like, oh man, there's a joke. You guys are bat signaling this touchback guy. We need to get this guy and that guy, whatever. And turns out that this is one of the most important players on the team so far and is absolutely had one of the more high upside guys on the team at his position. I mean, this guy could be an NFL kicker, just like Badgley was, kind of an unexpected NFL kicker, assuming he can get consistency. So far hasn't missed, but the leg is pretty unique.
We had a comment here that said Markel Bell's built like Zach Randolph, Zebo.
This is like our guy.
He might be if they stood next to each other, he might be taller than Zebo.
Yeah, that would be a great guy to.
I've actually, you know what? I actually ran into Zebo in the Portland airport one time when I was on a recruiting trip, and Markel Bell's bigger than him, but by a wide margin. Not just weight. I think he's taller than him by a couple inches.
Yeah, that guy could have played football too. He was pretty thick. I remember Zach, and he lost some weight. He was in college. He was heavy. Yeah. He would have been really good. So, want to talk about an opportunity here that is that's really cool because people like to do different kinds of things that this will all touch on, which is some guys like to play video games when they got some free time. They want to just waste time, play games, puzzles, more in-depth games, more sporty games, whatever it might be. They want to just kill the time. Some people want to make money on the side while they're killing time. That's like a real nice bonus. When you can make extra money just by playing games, that's a pretty sweet deal. And how about if you could play games, make money, and help people at the same time? That's a pretty rare combination. KashKick.com, KashKick.com. The Play It Forward movement here with the American Cancer Society. This allows players who use KashKick.com, KashKick.com, to play games, earn money on the side, which KashKick you can always do. But now this additional layer, the American Cancer Society will get a donation matched by in-game advertisers for the money you're earning playing the games. And that's going to the American Cancer Society, honoring those impacted by cancer, celebrating survivor milestones, keeping the spirit of giving alive, of course, researching the actual disease. So if you play this game with the Play It Forward program here, KashKick.com, KashKick.com, top 5 app in the lifestyle department, ahead of Pinterest, 4.5 plus average rating, over 1.5 million downloads, big time program, obviously partnering with the American Cancer Society. So you know how legit it is. Play games, make extra money, donate to cancer research. Pretty sweet deal. KashKick.com, KashKick.com, and the app is in the App Store. So pretty sweet deal there, Pete.
Dude, look at this. Shout out to, he says, Peony Boy says, shout out to Pop Sub, hooked me up with field box seats. Best experience of my life. He's not just providing the best subs in Miami out here. He's hooking people up, man. I was texting our boy Patrick during the week. He was nervous because we didn't do our normal Wednesday show. He hooks us up every week with our lunch there with the Mike show. And he said, man, if we don't win this weekend, it's because we threw it off. Maybe that's why the offense wasn't as efficient this week. But we'll be back at it this week.
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be a fun week. I can't wait to talk crap to Gators. I actually, while you finished that, I was finishing up my tweet to Dan Thompson, trying to craft it, trying to twist the knife a little bit. Dan Thompson, I'm trying to see, because I see this guy on Twitter. Is he involved in the NIL for the Gators? Is that why we know who he is?
I don't know who he is.
He was like going back and forth with Ruiz a lot. That was like his thing. Ruiz.
I'm not the person to ask you. I have no idea who he is, D.
All right. Well, if you in the comments, let me know who this guy is, because I'm trying to get material to rip on him in this tweet here. You got to make sure, it's very important for everybody to really twist the knife on your Gator friends, because they are as bad as it gets. They're a potential 10-loss team. They're going to be bad for a long time. We're not going to play them for a long time because we won't be bad enough to play in the bowls they play in, and we're not playing, the series anymore. So very important. You remind the Gators how bad they are. You may remind them just how irrelevant they are. Their past obviously pales in comparison to the University of Miami. Less championships, less relevance. They're present. You saw those teams really didn't belong on the same field. Miami played a D-plus game on offense, and we won by 3 scores. They played worse on offense than Bethune-Cookman. In the future, I mean, the athletic department's a mess, or at least the football side of it's a mess. They're going to botch this hire like they've botched, 5 of the last 6. Pretty much every hire besides Urban Meyer since Spurrier. And it's going to be a tough time for them. So make sure you kick them when you're down. Keep kicking them, and make them suffer, make them feel this one. DZ Dean said, confirmed. D likes to kick people when they're down. Absolutely. Did Hilton Stubbs see the field? I don't believe he did. And if he did, he probably sucked. I know. Very happy to avoid
Listen, D. I'm not going to jump on this with you because these guys could be Canes next year.
Vernell Brown, I won't jump on. Some of these other guys.
I'm not going to jump on any.
I don't think we want them. Jay Suarez asked about the impact of this freshman class versus the rankings and perception. I mean, so far, so good. We still got more guys we got to work on the field. But Bryce Fitzgerald's basically a starter. I mean, he's a third safety. He plays on all the passing downs. Malachi Toney is one of the best receivers in the ACC right away. Josh Moore's playing. So those guys are there. I think we still got to see the other guys play, but I think you'll see a Kellen Wiley. You'll see a Luka Gilbert. Gerard Pringle banged up his shoulder, I believe, but you'll see him even more down the road. You saw him against USF. So, yeah, it's gonna take some time, but I think there's going to be a great, great class. Jabari Antoine, I think, is someone that is going to be really, really good.
LJ McCray broke his foot, I believe, too. So I saw someone asking about him.
We can get him maybe. Derek Huck says, saw Tank back at the Lickin'. How's the feeling with him? Yeah, so we were just recording, talking to Fred Taylor, talking to Brian McKinney, doing the whole UF-UM thing at the Lickin', which was an awesome pregame event. Probably put that Brian McKinney interview out by itself. That's a pretty cool one.
It is up.
Oh, it is? Okay, I didn't see it.
Both the Fred Taylor and McKinney ones are separate
got
videos.
it. Yeah, Fred Taylor did a good job. He was a good guest. I mean, Gator, but obviously one of the best players ever to come out of Florida. And he was a podcast.
Great interview. Yeah, really enjoyed that
one.
Off
the camera too. Both those guys were cool dudes. But yeah, we were talking to Taylor, and then Tank Jones, just walked into the Lickin' because he loved the food so much. He wanted to go there on the way to the game. We didn't even know. And it was pretty cool. Fred Taylor gave him some words of advice. He wasn't recruiting for the Gators.
No, he wasn't.
But just kind of giving him some wisdom, which is cool. I mean, awesome experience. I think Tank Jones, you'll talk about here in the work, which we'll transition to in a second. But I think we got a great shot. He is one of those guys that I absolutely want to get for the Canes badly. I think he is a complete stud and going to be a really great player. Real quick before we get to some recruiting stuff and then get out of here with the work, want to talk about my boy, OrchidMan. So I saw the OrchidMan and his family, the Orchid woman, the Orchid man, the Orchid son. I saw the whole Orchid family out there on the black lot. They were tailgating, chilling with Coach Arteaga and some other luminaries, because OrchidMan is that plugged in. But he's also plugged in to landscaping, the top guy in South Florida, landscape artisan, works from Palm Beach all the way down to the Florida Keys. It's not just orchids, plants, the pretty stuff. It's the dirty stuff. It's everything to do with your landscape. So if you want to just deal with high-end product that top companies like Nike use for their commercial space, top dudes like Miami's coaches use for their own landscapes, OrchidManFlorida.com. Sprinkler repair, tree stump grinding, tree trimming, rain gutters, you name it. That's Orchid, not Orchid, or ORCHID, manflorida.com. Call him today. He'll be your quarterback on your landscaping, the best in the business. Shout out to him and the whole fam. It's great celebrating the win with them. They were on cloud 9. All right, Pete. So